All right, so are you ready to dive into some seriously creepy true stories?
Always up for a good scare, especially when they're based on real events. Yeah.
Yeah, these ones are straight from the source, people who lived through these unsettling experiences.
It's one thing to watch a horror movie, but knowing these things actually happen to real people hits differently.
Definitely adds a whole other layer of creepiness. So tonight we're exploring Mr. Nightmare's YouTube video, two very unsettling, true scary stories, and trust me, these will stick with you.
What I find so fascinating about these real-life accounts is that it's not just about the scares. It's like they tap into those primal fears we all have buried deep down.
Right, it's that feeling of vulnerability and the unknown that gets under your skin. Let's start with the first story, a classic horror setting.
Oh, lay it on me.
Picture this New Year's Eve, small, southern town, pitch black country roads, and this lone shack in the distance. Our narrator is driving to his friend's annual New Year's Eve party, but right away there's this sense of unease, like something's not quite right.
It's that isolation, isn't it? The darkness, it plays tricks on your mind, primes you for something bad to happen.
Exactly, and then bam, his headlights catch a figure standing by the side of the road.
Oh, no, no way. I hate when that happens in movies.
Right, totally. A horror movie moment. It's a woman completely alone wearing a white gown. Now, keep in mind it's freezing cold out.
Okay, that's strange already. Like, why is she just standing there in the middle of nowhere in a white gown?
Yeah, you'd think she'd be freezing. But it gets even weirder. He drives past, glances in his rearview mirror, and boom, the woman is turned to face him completely motionless.
Chills. Literally chills.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine. That's like straight out of a nightmare.
Right. And on the drive home from the party, things escalate from creepy to full-on terrifying. First, he discovers all four of his tires are shredded.
No way. What? All four?
Yep, all four, inexplicably flat. Then as he's standing there stranded, he gets this overwhelming feeling of being watched. You know, the feeling that makes the hairs on the back of your neck stand up.
Oh, yeah, I know that feeling.
Yeah.
It's like all your senses go on high alert.
And just when you think it can't get any worse, a voice whispers from the darkness. I see you.
Nope, nope.
No.
That's it. I'm out.
I know, right? He shines his flashlight towards the voice, and there she is, the woman in the white gown. This time he gets a clearer look. Pale, gaunt, almost grotesque face, and this creepy grin plastered across her face.
The stuff of nightmares. What did he do?
He freaks out, obviously sprints back to his friend's house, leaving his car behind. But it doesn't end there. Later that night, he's woken up by tapping on the window. He looks out, and there she is again whispering, I see you.
No way. She followed him.
Apparently so. The next day, they find a rusty knife in the yard where the woman was standing. She must have followed him to the party and slashed his tires while they were inside.
Okay, that is seriously messed up. And they never figured out who she was or why she was doing this.
Nope, she just vanished. Who was this woman? What did she want? What makes this story so unsettling for you?
It's that lack of closure, you know? The not knowing. We're left to fill in the blanks, which can be even scarier than any explanation.
Right. That feeling of being watched, hunted. It reminds me of another story, actually.
Oh. Does this one involve a taxi?
Yeah.
Yeah. A young woman's taking a taxi home from the airport in San Diego.
Late at night.
Late at night. And like right away, she gets this bad feeling about the driver.
Ugh, I hate that feeling you get when you're alone in a car with a stranger, especially at night. You're kind of trapped, you know?
Totally. And it's not even just about physical safety. It's also that psychological power dynamic.
Yeah.
You're at their mercy.
Right. And in this story, the driver won't stop staring at her in the rearview mirror, and then his questions start getting really inappropriate.
Ooh, that's even worse when they cross that line.
Yeah.
Makes you feel so uncomfortable.
Exactly. And of course it escalates. The driver misses her exit, claims it was a mistake, but she knows he's taking her out of her way on purpose. Then he starts asking about her boyfriend, and his glances in the mirror are getting creepier and creepier.
Oh, God, no. That's terrifying. Like you said, you're basically trapped.
It's a good reminder that fake taxi scams and assaults are a real danger. You have to trust your gut instinct in those situations.
Definitely. Yeah. Sometimes that feeling that something's wrong is all you have to go on. What happened next?
So she's getting really freaked out as they're driving through these deserted streets. Then she sees a police car up ahead and knows this is her chance. At the next red light, she grabs her bags and runs out of the taxi.
Good for her. That takes a lot of courage.
Right. It's fight or flight, and she chose fight. Thankfully, she escapes unharmed. But the story doesn't end there. She gets home ready to relax, and then knock, 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 someone's at the door.
No way. Don't tell me he followed her home.
Well, remember, the taxi driver knows where she lives.
Ugh, that's what I was afraid of. That's so creepy.
The knocking keeps going, then stops, and then starts up again a few minutes later. She doesn't open the door, but then she hears a voice whisper, "I wasn't going to hurt you." And a man's arm reaches around the corner.
Hold on. Was it the taxi driver or someone else?
Turns out it wasn't the taxi driver. Her neighbor had seen a different man trying to get into her apartment earlier.
Okay, that's even weirder. Almost like
Yeah.
some kind of coordinated thing.
Right. It leaves you with this really unsettling feeling. And again, it highlights how vulnerable women can be. This whole story has so many layers, and it brings up some important points.
Yeah, definitely. Both of these stories, even though they're different situations, they both tap into those primal fears we talked about, like isolation, vulnerability, the unknown.
Exactly. And it's not just what happens, it's how the stories are told. That slow build of suspense, the ambiguity keeps you on the edge of your seat the whole time.
Totally agree. Like with that whispering voice in the first story or the persistent knocking in this one, those little details that really get under your skin.
It's fascinating how they both play with our perception of reality, too. Like, is it supernatural? Is it just a coincidence? You're never quite sure.
Right, like in the first story with that woman in white.
Mm.
She appears and disappears and somehow knows where he is even when he's hiding. It makes you wonder if there's something more going on than we can understand.
And even though the taxi story seems more realistic, there's still so much we don't know. Was the driver actually dangerous, or was it just a series of weird coincidences? And who was that guy at the door? It just makes it that much creepier.
Exactly. It's the not knowing that gets to you. Your mind starts filling in the blanks with all the worst case scenarios.
It makes you think. It's crazy to think, right? Like, these stories could happen to any of us.
Yeah, it's a good reminder to be aware of your surroundings, you know? Not to be paranoid, but just to keep your guard up.
But sometimes it's hard to trust those gut feelings. You don't want to overreact.
I think it's about finding that balance.
Yeah.
Like learning to listen to those subtle cues, a change in someone's tone, a weird vibe you get. The more you pay attention to those little things, the better you get at recognizing when something's really off.
So basically trusting that inner voice, even when it's just a whisper.
Exactly. And not being afraid to act on it, even if it means seeming rude or overcautious. Better safe than sorry, right?
Totally. I know, I'm definitely going to think twice about getting into a taxi alone at night from now on.
It's smart to have a plan. You know, share your location with a friend or have a backup plan just in case.
Exactly. And it's not just about being a woman either. These things can happen to anyone.
Absolutely. It's about taking control of your own safety, not just relying on luck or hoping for the best.
It's a good reminder that we're not helpless, right? We can take steps to protect ourselves and each other.
And I think that's one of the most important takeaways from these stories. As scary as they are, they remind us that we're not alone. We have each other, and we can learn from these experiences.
It's about looking out for one another, speaking up when something feels wrong, sharing information so we can all be more aware.
Exactly. These stories might be about individual experiences, but the lessons are universal.
It's about recognizing that we're all vulnerable in different ways and we need to support each other.
And that even in the face of fear, we can choose awareness, connection, and resilience.
Well said. I think that's a great note to end on. Tonight, we've delved into some truly unsettling encounters, explored the psychology of fear and anxiety, and most importantly, discussed ways to empower ourselves to stay safe and aware.
It's been a fascinating look at the darker side of human experience.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I think it reminds us of the importance of light hope and the incredible strength of the human spirit.
Absolutely. Well, that's about all the time we have for this deep dive. But before we go, we want to encourage you to keep the conversation going. Share your thoughts, your experiences, maybe even your own unsettling encounters using the hashtag #TheDeepDive.
Because sometimes the scariest stories are the ones that teach us the most valuable lessons.
Until next time, stay curious, stay safe, and remember, the world is full of mysteries, but it's also full of wonder, kindness, and courage.